Hi, I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Welcome to the Grassroots Business Journal. I am your host, Paul Wilusz, and today I have as my guest Heather Conley from Heather Conley Photographs.
Hi.
How you doing? Pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me, Paul.
Good, good. I want to start this program out in talking just a little bit about entrepreneurship and what does that mean to you, and do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Great question. I definitely consider myself an entrepreneur, and lately I've been really using the word solopreneur as well.
Why?
Because of all the work that I do, but I do that as a one-person army, so to speak.
Okay.
Wearing all hats in the businesses. Aspects of the business, really, is all the different things that you do in the front end of the business and the back end of the business.
Now again, our audience may be, there may be some people who are thinking of getting into their own business, starting something, etc., being an entrepreneur. Is it easy?
I would say it's rewarding.
Okay.
That would be the first thing that I would say.
Okay.
I would say that what comes out of it is equal to what you put into it.
Okay.
Just from my experience, I've been in business now professionally 5 years, and I've worked really, really hard, and I keep working very hard because I have such a passion for what I do, and I think that carries me.
What made you decide to go into the business by yourself or for yourself?
Well, that is a decision that I felt a long time ago when I was probably an early teen. I knew that I wanted to work for myself, but I spent a lot of time in my professional career in corporate roles.
Okay.
So I worked in several corporate companies, large, medium-sized businesses for most of my working career, and about 20 plus years in marketing is really how it's all come together. But I had always wanted to work for myself, and I did have a small business before I opened my photography studio, my photography business, and I really enjoyed it, but that was just a different business that didn't really take flight, and it wasn't something I was as passionate about. So I kind of put that to rest, and then all of a sudden, I got a point-and-shoot camera, and I really got hooked on it.
Now you said it's been over 20 years of dealing with corporate and working inside the business community. When did all of a sudden, I mean, did this just come up? Did the opportunity arise to itself? Or was it something that you were thinking about and that now it was time that you felt that it was time to go at it by yourself?
Another great question. I would say things aligned, multiple things aligned. So I was actually winding down the corporate position I had become part-time. I had met up with someone who was a professional photographer, and I suddenly got to thinking, I wonder if they would mentor me, because I was already hooked on the point-and-shoot camera, and I wanted to be able to explore the next step of going from amateur to pro. So I asked the question, right? It never hurts to ask, and the answer was yes. Yes, I'll mentor you. And so with great pride, I speak about my mentor, and he really gave me time, and he gave me education, and he really took me under his wing for 2 years. I studied with him and learned about the business. He's been in business over 40 years.
Now, from your journey at this point, and from those in our audience who may be thinking of, well, I take selfies, or I may take something with my cell phone, or whatever. Is this the proper, or what you would say would be the direction that someone should be able to go into, or is there another avenue that maybe they can take? Just from your experience.
I mean, in my experience, I was fortunate enough. I was fortunate enough to have a mentor who was willing to really spend some time and invest in me and watch me grow. So that was a real opportunity. But I think there are multiple ways to go about it. The internet is such an open place for education. Online tutorials, websites, areas that have blogs, conferences, workshops. I mean, there's really no limit. If you really put yourself out there, there's no limit to how you can do it and what your transition will be from going amateur to pro, from being in a paid role or a desk job, so to speak, and then moving into your own business, doing it from part-time, going into full-time. You can also go to school for that as well. I mean, you can really go and formally study everything, and some people come up in their career, they start their career that way. This is really a second career, if I look at it, as far as going from corporate and going from working for other people in larger organizations into working for myself. So I look at it as that second career.
Now, you also mentioned that you went from part-time to full-time. How important is that? And how much of a decision that you had to make is that for someone to go either part-time or full-time, or does someone just automatically go into full-time?
I would say it's really a personal decision, but I see it as the transition is can be a lot smoother if you start part-time. So thinking about, I feel good, people are giving me a lot of feedback about the pictures I take with my family and my friends, and you're getting feedback, people are urging you, you should really do this, you have a great eye. So that's a great start, that's great feedback, but in thinking about how you're actually going to get someone to pay you to take photographs versus your family and your friends and being at events with people or doing selfies. So thinking about how am I going to get people to pay me to do this? What's going to be my approach? What's my plan? So putting the plan together.
Exactly. So from the different shows I've had on so far, almost everyone has really talked about their business plan and how important that plan is. For yourself inside photography, how important is that business plan for you?
I would say a business plan is really important, but the approach that I took this time around, with my other business, my previous business, I had written a plan for that business, and in writing the plan, I realized that what I was doing wasn't going to be feasible. So I would have had to rework the entire business, and it wasn't something that I wanted to approach in that way. So that's when I decided to wrap the business up. And when I was ready to move into this business, I took my marketing expertise, I took the training that I had with my mentor, and I really jumped in. I had the opportunity to jump in. So it's been 5 years, and now I'm actually rewriting a business plan, so that I'm actually writing, which you could consider really my first business plan for the photography business. So I'm starting to flush that out now, because I'm in the position where the client base really needs to get more solidified, and then how do I grow from here?
Now, you had mentioned before in our previous conversations that we've had the importance of how do you make that move from amateur to professional, and to know that you're no longer just an amateur, you are professional, and that you're going to be getting paid. How did that work for you?
Well, I'd say that it's definitely been a journey. It still continues to be a journey. And with time, things refine themselves. You refine your focus, your specialties. But I would say knowing the nuts and bolts of the business, how to put proposals together, how to project manage your potential jobs, because it used to be you were sitting in a room, for example, I'll give you kind of the bird's eye view. Sure. So you're sitting in a room and you have a project that's up on the table, and in the room you would have an art director, a designer, you would have a project manager, you could have some other design people, other decision makers, your clients. So you would have all the people in the room and the photographer and anyone else. Would you have people to style? Whoever else would be involved. But today, things are a lot leaner. They're flowing in a different way. And so with those changes, now you become the art director, the project manager, the designer, the creative eye, they lean on you for sensibility in these areas. So again, the marketing experience I've had in project management, in sales, in publicity, promotion, marketing, design, all these things folded together really helped me to do my job in a better way, to do it at a higher level, to leverage those things, to help me do the work I do, but now I do it with a camera.
So it's not just having that skill level as a photographer, but it's also having those skills as being a market manager, sales, publicity, etc. I mean, that's what I'm just hearing from you. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's really about asking questions. I can shoot anything you want me to shoot, but why are we shooting it? Why are we taking this photo? Do we want it to tell a story about what? Or do we need it to communicate a message? What is that message? And so why really comes into play, especially when I work with clients, and the more that I collaborate with them and the more projects I do over time, the variety is amazing. I think that's what also keeps it exciting for me.
We're coming up to our end of our first segment here, but in those first 5 years, or that first year, let's go back to that very first year. Were you at all apprehensive about it? Or was it a big step, or was it just a step that you were just able to smoothly go into when you had to make that decision to go at it on your own?
I'm having a flashback moment to think back to my first year. Thank you for that. I mean, I think I was just everything wide-eyed, exciting. I think I'm still that way for people that know me. Everything is new and fresh, but I think in the first year, it was a smoother transition to have a mentor. I mean, let's face it, to have someone who's a phone call, I mean, I can pick the phone up, help, you know, I need something.
Exactly.
What do you think about this? What about this? I'm costing this out. What should I consider when I'm doing this? And or what if I'm stumbling on something? I can call someone who's got 40 years experience who can walk me through it or give me their perspective, and at least it helps me to find my own way.
Well, I think with that, we'll be able to end our segment. We're talking with Heather Conley from Heather Conley Photographs, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Grassroots Business Journal. I am your host, Paul Wilusz. We're talking media meets social media. Actually, talking business meets social media on another end of things. My guest today is Heather Conley from Heather Conley Photography. Is that correct?
Yes.
I got that good this time. Okay.
Thank you.
And we've been having our discussion a little bit about entrepreneurship within the business of photography. And Heather, you had mentioned a little bit about how does one rise above the other professionals out there? And I know a lot of people who may want to go into a particular business, and how do you arise or put yourself above the other competitors out there, where it allows for you to make a living and keep yourself and your creativity moving?
Great question. So many great questions. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
I would say that really what's so important is thinking about how you differentiate yourself. So I think it happens in many areas within your business as a commercial photographer. When you go professional, it's not only about getting the right equipment and the training, but it's also going to come with experience. So it's also, I think, something to be mindful of, to be kind to yourself and give yourself the time to gain that experience and work your projects little by little. In the beginning, you always start with exchanges, asking people to help you out, and you can help them out. But then eventually there's going to come a time where the switch flips.
Okay.
And when that flips is when you start to be paid. And that's a whole other ball game. But really, it's about taking the time that you need to gain the experience and to think about where is the value in what you offer to clients. Really honing in on what is that. Is it something you offer them? It needs to be something you offer them that other people don't offer.
Okay.
And that makes you different. And so it's really about educating clients as much as getting yourself educated, trained, and experienced about how you work, the way that you work, and why that's different from someone else who might just grab a camera and call themselves a professional.
How important is customer service?
I would say that's important to any business. I think it's very important. And I think that in the photography business, there are ways to provide customer service that really can go above and beyond. And I can just speak to some examples
Sure, absolutely.
of what I do in my business. But if it gets the ideas flowing, I think that's what's helpful. For example, the technical aspects of shooting images. So, for example, a lot of the commercial work that I do is web-based. So much of what we see is online, social media, across the web. There's still print being done, but it's usually not the bulk of where the images end up. So I shoot for end use, and that's something that I talk about with my clients. So, for example, if you were shooting just a standard rectangular image, we call that a standard format shot, then you would be taking that photograph and you would be putting the composition together to balance out the space. But if I were shooting a website banner and I need to put, I call it the meat and potatoes of the shot, I need to put the heart of the shot in maybe a third or a quarter of that frame. I need to shoot that photo differently, and I need to talk to my client about how we're going to use that photo. Do we need to shoot it multiple ways so that you can use that for your project, depending what they need? But also thinking about how you can do a little bit more hand-holding on the technical piece. You know, how many pixels does this banner need to be? If you can step in and help take the lead with those kind of questions and get in front of those questions, because also for me in my business, I never want to go back to a client and ask them for more money. Big no-no. You never want to do that. So if you do your due diligence and you do your homework up front, which comes with experience and knowing the questions to ask, that's how you can help a client. You can add value because they don't want someone coming back to them. Or would you want someone coming back to you and asking for more money when the project's said and done? So just those small types of refinements, but they add a lot of value to what you offer to your clients.
Do your clients appreciate that?
I think my clients appreciate that. I mean, I really think that I had a phone call today with a client. They thanked me with an email after the phone call saying, thank you so much for keeping this moving, for keeping me focused, because I'm helping them move the project forward, because I am handling a lot of the details of fleshing out the project flow so that they're able to focus on what are we going to shoot and why are we going to shoot it.
So you're basically then giving them the assistance that they may not have thought of at that particular point, and you're giving them that assistance that helps them make actually the project become more successful.
And it helps them get to yes faster. I think that's important.
Okay.
You want them to get to yes so that you can get to doing the project, completing the project, and ensuring that they're 150% happy with what you're doing. But I think that it's really about helping them to clear things out of their path, because they have so many other things they're doing in their business. So if you can project manage and provide art direction or creative direction in the process, I think clients appreciate that. And I would say one other thing that I think clients really appreciate is that, another example I can give you is I have clients who will call me 2 or 3 years after a shoot and say, my computer's crashed. We lost everything on the computer. Would you happen to have those files? And I say to them in an instant, yes, I can zip them up and you'll have them in a half an hour. I archive all my clients' files. I have multi-terabytes of dual backup storage. I have a workflow. Again, this is kind of my infrastructure for my business. And so it's a guarantee to my clients that they can come back to me. I've had some clients come back 2-3 times and get their files. So,
which I think that they would really appreciate at that point. Since you've been doing the business, what's been the easiest and what's been the most difficult?
Ooh, that is a really, I would say that is the creme de la questions for our interview. What's been the easiest, what's been the hardest? I would say the easiest has been jumping into doing the work with my clients because I just have a grand passion for the work and for collaborating with people. I love that creative process. So it's something it's very natural aligned for me. I would say the hardest thing has really been learning photography, learning the technical part. How does the camera work? How do you clean it? How do you upgrade your equipment? Which equipment do you need? Do you have duplicates of everything? What if there's a new technique? What if you're on the shoot and then all of a sudden the direction of what you're doing with a shot changes? Can you react? Can you pull it off? And can you make it look like everything's running smooth as silk?
Wow.
And so, but can you do that and never let them see you sweat? That's, I would say, that can sometimes be the hardest. And that's where I still get butterflies or I get sweaty palms, when I'm gonna be pulling together a really big shoot. Like if I'm going down to New York City to shoot, do some retail work, those kinds of things they're exciting every time. Like it's it's the first shoot.
You have a lot of passion, and I can sense that. Has your business, has it been local, or has it gone into regional, or global? And where do you see yourself in about 10 years with the business?
I would say yes to all of those questions that you asked about where my business is going and where it is now, where it's gone. I started shooting locally, naturally. And you start putting your feelers out and you do it a little at a time, baby steps. But as I mentioned, I do shoot retail, luxury retail, and I've done some media events down in New York City. So I enjoy going down there, but I don't have a storefront or a studio. So I work on location. So I go wherever the work is, and if that means a plane, a train, if I walk there, if I run there, because I'm very excited about the work. But I go where the work is, and internationally I'm very blessed in my private life. I get to go to Europe a lot. So the camera comes with me. I travel there very often. So I bring the camera because I also do sell custom prints. And I offer those up, collections of custom prints for offices as well, like office installations, or for private clients who want landscape photography or collection work. So I do that as well. So it's really gone everywhere. And in 10 years, I would say that the majority of what I'd like to be doing is more, I'm really enjoying more of the tourism work that I'm doing right now, and I know that I'm going to talk to you at the end of our session together talk to everyone about what I specialize in, but more of the tourism work because I really love where we live. I love capturing New England, so that could be local in Connecticut, Western Mass, the region, and then I'm also doing a lot of licensed work lately, so what that does is it brings a value to clients where they can license images I've already photographed, so they're not paying for a full shoot. And then there are parameters for which types of licenses that they can get from me. But that way they're able to incorporate those images without paying for a full shoot, and they can pick from a collection. And I usually put custom galleries together for clients, and then they can pick banks of images and purchase those for their business use.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's
The full picture.
Yeah, it's a nice business.
So to speak.
Yes.
Very nice, very nice. Well, our segment is vastly coming to an end here. My guest today has been Heather Conley from Heather Conley Photography, and she's just been given some great information, I think, that for our viewers and listeners. At this point, I would like to invite you to talk to the audience and pitch your business.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Go for it.
Again, I'm Heather Conley from Heather Conley Photography, and I work on location. I'm a commercial photographer, and I work business to business. So I focus on small, medium, and large-size businesses, and I specialize in architectural, interiors, exteriors. I work with interior designers, landscapers. I also work with municipalities, and I photograph tourism and events around the state as well. And you can reach me online. Visit my online studio at www.heatherconleyphotography.com, and it's C-O-N as in Nancy, L-E-Y. You can also email me at heather@heatherconleyphotography.com, and you can find me across all social media, Facebook, Google+, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here with everyone, and just follow your passion and the rest will follow.
Very nice. It's been a pleasure having you on the show here today, Heather.
Thank you so much.
Would like to have you come back at some future date and tell us how business is going and go from there. But at least at this point, this has been Paul Wilusz, the Grassroots Business Journal. Again, you can always email me or write to the station here at accesstv.org. But until next time, keep talking business and have a great day.